Okay, so what is EC2? Right, Elastic Compute Cloud, right? Provides scalable computing capacity, eliminates need to invest in hardware upfront, can develop and deploy applications faster, can use EC2 to launch as many as or as few as virtual servers as we need, enables us to scale up or down to handle changes in requirements or spikes in popularity, right? So what is EC2? There is using EC2, what we can do, we can create an instance, right? And you see the features of EC2. So it is elastic compute cloud, right? It will give you computing capacity. So in place of virtual machine, what you will have? You will have instance. You will have instance. So that VM, what you call as a virtual machine, a VM, that is called instance here. Right? So you remember we created a Windows instance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct? So like that only we can create some Linux instance also, right? And then from the instance, you can create image. You can recall while we were creating the instance, that time we had chosen some image, right? That was Windows 2019 base model or something. So we had chosen some AMI, some given AMI was there from Microsoft. So we chose that AMI and then we configured it, right? We added some volume, we added some security group, we added some features, and then we launched our instance, right? So this AMI you can understand, right, as a template, right, from which you can create instance. Again, from instance you can create AMI, right? By making some modification or something in the instance, you can create some AMI, and again you can give that AMI to somebody. They can create instance from that AMI. So it's a template which is pre-configured, right? From which you can create one instance, right? Then you saw different types of instance. Which instance type did we choose? Anybody remembers?
Windows 10 base, Windows, yeah.
Windows instance we created.
Yeah, we created Windows actually. So we chose Windows AMI. But what was the type of instance? Various configurations. See, instance type is related to various configurations of CPU, memory, storage, and networking capacity, for instance. So what was the capacity of our instance that we chose? What was the name of that instance type? What was the size? How many CPUs were there? How much memory was there?
30 GB of memory, I remember.
30 GB of disk that was.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Storage.
yeah, storage. So that storage 30 GB came because of AMI, because that root volume, whatever root volume was there, that came by default with that AMI, that was of 30 GB size. Because of that AMI that we selected, that 30 GB hard disk came to us, right? Not as a feature of instance type, but as a feature of AMI.
Okay.
Memory.
Yes. How much memory were there? How many CPUs were there?
1 GB memory, right?
From where it came? What did we choose that it came? You remember free tier? Some option was there. Only one option was free tier.
First, we have to select the OS type, and once when we proceed from there, we got some instance type, right?
Correct. So
Yeah.
that was T2.micro.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember T2.micro. So that was instance type. So that was the only available option for free tier. So we had to choose T2.micro. But apart from that, you can choose different types of features. You'll have different types of instances. I'll just explain you some basics about instance type. Just give me one moment. So you have, say, like some name will be there. So for us, it was t2.micro. That was very simple, general purpose. Say, like you will find there, if you just go there, you will see something like C5D something dot 2 4, right? There may be something X large, right? Or maybe like in place of 24 you may have like 16 or 9 or 8 or 4 or 2, or maybe micro or mini or small or whatever option. So this is one part, this is one part, this is one part, this is one part, right? So what happens there is this one, say like first one, right? So what do you think it may be? This is called instance family. This denotes instance family. Okay, so how family name will be there, surname or something. So like that, this is family name. That is C for compute. So that is compute family. That is coming from compute family, right? So it has name like compute, C. Say like something maybe R may be for RAM, right? So like that, you will have different option, right, of the family. So in this, there are hundreds of different options that you are getting for instance types, right? So this 5, the next number, that would be what? Any guess? Instance? Generation.
Generation. Okay.
So 5th generation. So
Okay.
newer the generation, better the performance, better the features, right? So this 5 is generation. So what is this one? D. Here you can see different options also. So that is features actually. That is a feature. What kind of feature? So here D they have taken for SSD. So this C5D, so wherever you see D, so it will be SSD type, right? Solid state drive. It won't be HDD. That will be, you will be getting SSD. So that's why from SSD they have taken D. For 5th generation they have taken 5C for the compute family, right? Now this part, right? This part is the actual, how many times, how many CPUs, how, like you have whatever is there for the normal one, right? 24x extra large. So where do you see this XL and large and small and mini and all those options? So that is actually t-shirt size. How we have t-shirt? T-shirt size will be there. So like that, that is the size, right? This is so huge, 24XL size, right? So you can imagine, right? If like the normal one has, say like 1 CPU, 1 GB RAM, right? 1 GB RAM, say like the normal one is having this much, right? So the another one, the another version, say like large version, maybe 2 CPU, 2 GB RAM, right? Say like this one is large. Then if you go for extra large, you will see double than that. If you go for 2XL, you will have double than that. If you have 8XL, 8 times than that. So just try to notice when you are selecting the type of instance, that time you just try to notice and try to multiply and see how the CPU and memory and all those components are changing when the thing is changing here. So this is the actual size, how many CPUs that will be multiplied by this number, right? So just take a note of it. But some understanding, right, about the type, right? So when you look at things, you can just figure out, okay, this number may be related to this number may be related. right? So where were we? So let's go back. So we're discussing about the instance type, right? So instance type you understood. So there will be various configurations of CPU, memory, storage, networking capacity. Something may be network optimized, something may be storage optimized, compute optimized, memory optimized. Different types of hundreds of options are there. Maybe 150 plus 175 options, right? So there are options related to key pairs. What is key pair? To secure login information for instance, right? So there will be key pair, public key and private key. You heard about this? Public key cryptography?
Yeah.
Right? So what will happen? Some data is there. That data will be encrypted using the public key, right? And then there will be private key. So the same data will be decrypted by private key, right? So public key will be used to encrypt the data and private key will be used to decrypt the data. Getting it? So private key will be secret, right?
Yes.
This will be secret. This is not to be shared by shared to everyone. Public key, as the name suggests, it will be publicly available, right? So like that only you will get when you just generate a key pair, right? You get two key pairs. When you create a server, that time you got two key pairs. However, what happened? One key pair, that the public one, was kept at the server level. You got the private one. You use that private one to again access your instance and get the Windows password. You were clicking on get Windows password, right? That time you were giving that .pem. You remember?
Yeah.
So when you gave this, that means you are giving the private key, right, to get the Windows password back to you, right? So this is like key pair options, right? So you'll have that key pair options there. What next? Instance store volumes, right? So you have option for different type of storage. So there is, you might have heard about EBS. Have I discussed about EBS ever? No, not yet.
No.
Okay, EBS I have not discussed. And EFS, did I ever mention EFS? What is EFS? Not that also?
No.
Okay, so what, let me discuss about storage quickly. So you will have some understanding of storage types, then we'll come back to slide. Okay, so let's discuss in short about the various storage options provided by AWS, right? So there is one option called file storage. There's some option called file storage. There is something called block storage. Right? And there is something called object storage. Object storage, have you heard? All are there with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard object storage?
No.
Now?
That's the S3. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you are very much comfortable with object storage, that is S3. Okay, so you have seen the features of object storage, replication related to that, right? Lifecycle management, right? Buckets, policies, right? Everything related to object storage, you are very much comfortable with S3, right? So now remaining file storage and block storage, two other components are there, right? So we'll be discussing about file storage right? So that is EFS. So this EFS is file storage, that is elastic file system. So this we will be discussing, but before that, let's discuss about block storage. Okay, so block storage you just might have heard, right? So for primary storage, right, for block level option, right, we have the EBS. So there is something called EBS, elastic block storage, and another component that is called EC2, instance store. Okay, so in block storage you have two options actually, right? EBS and EC2 instance store, right? So I'll show you about this instance store related thing, right? So this is also called ephemeral storage, right? So I'll show you this option, right? But the most important of all, right, is EBS. The most important of all is EBS, and you have seen EBS somewhere. I think while we were creating the Windows instance, that time the 30 GB root volume that you saw, right? You remember? 30 GB root volume while creating Windows instance?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
That is EBS. What is that?
EBS.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That is EBS, elastic block storage. Right? So I'll just discuss about the type of EBS. Then I'll explain you the remaining things. Right. So let me explain the EBS volume. Okay. So actually, this EBS, what we used was SSD. That was 30 GB SSD, right? So you'll have EBS, which is SSD based and HDD based also. Okay, SSD based and HDD based. Okay, this SSD based, right, will be faster as compared to HDD. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So wherever for our boot volume we use this one, right? So one thing can be for boot volume, right? Another thing, another uses, maybe for database, lot of transaction happens for database, right? So you need more IO per second for database transactions, right? Very much, very high transactions will happen for database, right? So this will be for transactional workload, you can say. For transactional workload, right? We can use SSD based EBS volume, right? So in this category, actually, you have two main options, two options. So I'll just tell you, this is one is called IO1, right? Another is called GP2. You might have seen this one. We use this one, general purpose 2, right? So the another one is IO1. Okay. So what is this IO1? Okay. So this IO1 still visible, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this IO1 is called provisioned IOPS. Sometimes in short they will write PIOPS. Like this they will write PIOPS, provisioned IOPS. That is in short that is called IO1. This is the highest performance option. Highest performance. Okay. And lowest possible latency. Latency means you can access it quickly, Correct?
Yes, correct.
So this is for wherever you require very less latency, right? And very high performance, say like for example, database related stuffs, right? Or you require for boot volume or something. Maybe you can choose this GP2 for boot volume, but you can choose this for database, very, where thousands of transactions are happening every second, right? So you should choose this option, right? But say like Oracle is running, MySQL is running something. So there you can choose this. But this GP2 is something general purpose. This is also good. General purpose, right? General purpose SSD, they call it. General purpose SSD, right? So this is a balance of price and power or performance. So price, performance, if you are looking at both, you should choose GP2. Okay, by default this came, you remember? We'll again do, then I'll create some another instance, then I'll show you. So by default this is the option. GP2 will come by default, general purpose SSD, right? So here this will be as compared to this PIOPS, provisioned IOPS, right? Here it will be some kind of baseline will be there, say like you will see, you might have seen some options, 3 IOPS, right? Per GB, some option were there, some baseline were there for 3 IOPS per GB, and there was some option like minimum of 100 IOPS will be there, right? Minimum some 100 IOPS will be there, right? IO per second, IOPS means, right? And it can burst. It can burst means based on the requirement. Whenever there is a load, whenever there is a need, so it can burst up to, it can go up to 3000. Okay, it can go up to 3000 IOPS. Okay, so in this case, maximum IOPS based on whatever volume size you are having. So the maximum IOPS can go up to 16,000. You'll see these options when we choose the volume. That time I'll show you these options so you can relate to it. Okay, for that one, for IO1, it's 16K, right? It can go up to 64K maximum, right? So like this, you have options. You can take a look, and you just remember whatever you can remember from here. Then when we do this, I will show you. Okay. Then you have HDD based also. So this is hard disk drive, normal. So this is not for meant for IOPS, but this is meant for throughput. Remember throughput? Throughput. What is throughput? How much you can get in a given point of time, right? In a given period of time. Prashant, you had answered it right last time?
Yeah, correct.
So this is like in how much time you can get how much data, right? So based on that, throughput. So that throughput intensive workload, no? This is for throughput intensive workload. This is for throughput intensive workload. This is for IOPS intensive or performance intensive. This one, SSD based. So in this case also, you have two options. So here you remember IO1, provisioned IOPS and general purpose. Here also you have two options. So first option is, that is ST1, and the second option is SC1. Okay, so the ST1 is throughput optimized. The name T comes from throughput, right? So this is throughput optimized, right? Throughput optimized, HTT. They call it like this. Okay. So say like you have for log processing, if you want. Right? You can go for this. For log processing, huge data will be there. Right? And you don't want it very fast or something. No transaction will be happening. Just like you want to process the logs, huge amount of data. You might have heard about big data.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
use for big data, right? Data warehouses. So wherever you require huge data, right, where throughput is important, right? So then you have to choose options, right? These two options, but for mainly for throughput, right, you use this one. Here C is for cold. Here T is for throughput, like that. Here C is for cold. Cold means kind of less frequently. It's not very highly used, right? So the benefit of here is this is low cost, cheapest, you can say, very cheap, right? Now this is for infrequently accessed, right? Accessed workload. So say like in these cases, you have thousands and thousands and lakhs of transactions happening every minute, every second, right? In this provision IOPS case, then you go for this. If you have like no workload where nobody is accessing, nobody is willing to access so frequently, one access will happen, then nobody is bothered. Some log files are written and then nobody is bothered. So very infrequently accessed workload, this cold option you can go for SC1, right? So this is called cold HDD. The name itself is cold HDD. So what all things we have seen? We have seen IO1, right? Or that is called provisioned IOPS or PIOPS, right? Here this is GP2, general purpose SSD, right? It's a balance of price and performance. Here, in case of SSD based, we have seen ST1, that is throughput optimized SSD, right? And another one is SC1, that is cold SSD, right? So cold SSD is for low cost, infrequently accessed workload, right? Some idea you got, some picture you got?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So apart from this is like about current generation thing. So apart from that, you have previous generation thing also. Okay. So something apart from that, let me discuss on the next page itself. So I'll just clean it up. So apart from this, you have something like previous generation volume also. Now that is like not for new generation. Previous generation EBS volume. Okay, so that is also called EBS magnetic HDD. Okay, so this is for compatible with previous things, and this is also not bad. Here IOPS will be little less, 40 to 200 IOPS will be there, right? And it is cheaper, 42, say like 90 MB per second. You will get that much of maximum throughput. Maximum throughput would be limited here, right? Per volume it is. Okay. And if you go with the per instance, it will be maximum 1750 MB per second, right? This can be maximum throughput, right? Maximum throughput per instance. So you don't have to remember so much, but the only thing you have to understand is this is the cheapest one, this is the previous generation one, right? So this is a magnetic hard disk drive, right? Right. So this is one option as well, right? For some of the previous generation options, right? So this is good. Apart from this, okay. So what we have been discussing? We have been discussing about the various types of
Instance.
storage. Storage, right? Instance types we discussed, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So now we have some options related to this what you call file storage was there, right? File storage. Let me discuss that also. Is it becoming too much theoretical? Then I can make it little practical, but I don't have much time for doing practical. Is it okay to discuss few more theoretical concepts?
Yeah, go ahead. I think.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
right?
yes. Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you about elastic file system. Okay, so elastic file system, right? Say like in EBS you saw that was primary storage and you had your EC2 instance, right? And you wanted a primary storage there, right? Primary storage you wanted there, right? That was block level, right? So you went for EBS, right? Now, what if you have you need one file system which should be accessible by multiple instances, right?
Okay.
Multiple instances you are having, third one, fourth one, fifth one, multiple instances are there, hundreds of instances are there, which wants, all of them want to access this particular file system, right? Single file system, right? Shared file system, right? You heard about NFS, right? Network file system.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this EFS gives the solution for this shared file system where the one single file system will be shared to multiple instances. Multiple instances can log in and connect and access to this particular file system, right? So the benefit here is in case of EBS, right? You have to provision it, you have to choose that option, right? And you have to scale it up. A lot of things are there, but this EFS, you don't have to do scaling. You don't have to do anything about it. So what is special about it? What is special about EFS? The most special thing is it is managed service. And managed means what? Managed by? Managed by whom? It's fully managed by?
AWS.
Whenever you say managed means?
It's from the AWS, yeah.
Yeah, managed means managed by the service provider. Wherever you see managed service, that means it is fully managed by the service provider. So it's fully managed by AWS. That's the most important part, right? So whenever something is fully managed, right? So you can by default understand that its availability is going to be great, durability is going to be awesome, right? And it is going to be stored across multiple availability zones, right? You will have redundancy, right? And you will have distributed architecture for that, right? So if one availability zone is gone, right, doesn't mean that something will happen to your EFS volume, right? So your file system will be intact. Let there be outage for any availability zone. Let there be any network issue in one availability zone. Let there be any system failure in one availability zone, right? Or let switch or router get any kind of issue. Doesn't matter. right? So, and the benefit is you don't have to provision anything. Whatever you put, automatically it will grow. So you have this much of file here, right? And now you put more files, right? So automatically it will grow, right? It will simply grow by putting the object, right? And if you just take out something, some objects, again it can shrink, right, to whatever is required. Got it?
Yeah, got it.
So automatic growth, automatic shrinking, right? So just you have to put file, just you have to take out files, just you have to delete files. That's it. So the system will automatically grow by adding files. It will automatically decrease, right, in the size by removal of the file. But when you are putting, if you just think of putting so much of file or something in some system, you might experience some slowness or something. But here that is not the case. You keep on putting files, right? The size not only size will grow, but also the latency will remain. Latency remains low. That is the best approach. That is the best part of it. So it's not like you keep on putting files and now you have so many files, it has grown to some level where latency also has increased. That's not the case. Here, latency will remain low only. Right? So that's the benefit.
The file meaning you mean to say, Harish, is a bucket and the...
how in S3 we were keeping object, right?
Right.
In S3 we were keeping object, simply we were keeping object, right? Here, actually this EFS also is inside S3 only, right? But that is abstracted from our view. Okay, so what happens here is you are sharing it. This is a file-based storage. That S3 was object-based. Here I mean files. File means your MS Word document or whatever files, log files, whatever things you want to share with other people, right?
Okay.
So this is for sharing purpose. You can mount it. See, in your system, see, this is accessible via endpoint. Some endpoint is there through which people can access it, right? Now, here in case of file storage, what happens? You mount it in your system. You have one instance, there you have mounted it. In another system also it is mounted. Another system also it is mounted. It's all the same thing.
Which means we can't see this one.
Pardon?
We can't see this EFS.
This EFS is mounted in your system. You can see this. See, you have NFS, right? NFS share.
Correct. Yeah.
So you just have to create one EFS file system, and that file system should be shared file system. That is called EFS. And now the same EFS in one central location is connected here, is connected here, is connected here, maybe connected in hundreds and hundreds of machines.
Okay.
But this file system is only one. Okay. Now, these are the mount points through which you are accessing the same file system, right? But the only thing here is you are putting the files, right? You are putting the files, you are taking the files, everyone, all the other instances are using those files, and it is directly connected here, right, through NFS. Through NFS version 4 protocol. This is also accessing it through NFS version 4 protocol. Like that. And this S3 is like, you are accessing through HTTP, right?
Yeah.
So you have some URL through which you are accessing. Whosoever wants from mobile device from anywhere, they are accessing this. So this is like S3. But what I'm saying here about EFS is as it is fully managed. Correct? So it is fully managed. It's not like EBS. So what happens is where it is exactly stored, how do you know? Because what you are getting is a mount point. You have a mount point where you are mounting it, correct?
Okay. Okay.
Simply mounting something. You are getting some URL, right? That you are mounting here, you're mounting here, you're mounting here. So you simply mounted, but where it is exactly kept, how do you know? You don't know.
Okay.
Correct. And there is no fixed size or something. You don't have to choose like 1 GB, 2 GB, how much volume you want. That you don't have to choose. So simply you just take an EFS, mount it in your systems, right? And then you just keep on adding files. Keep on adding files. You add file, other system will add file, right? But where it is exactly kept is abstracted from your view. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Understood. Yeah.
So here also in EFS also you have different couple of options, right? So here you have based on the performance mode, right? In case of EFS performance mode, you have two choices. So one is again general purpose, right? And another one is max IO. Okay, so this is the default one, right?
Okay.
And this is giving low latency. This is fine. And throughput also good. I'll just write it short, throughput. So now here this max IO, right? If you have thousands of instances, thousands, right? By thousands, I mean thousands of instances attached to single file system. One single file system, thousands of instances are accessing, right? You go for this max IO. Okay. Very high throughput and very low latency, right? And very high IO performance. IO performance is like great here. So if you are looking for max IO, right? If you want too much of IO is happening in your system, so you can go for this option. Now you have the storage class. As I told, no, that EFS is hidden where it is, right, from your view, but that is actually where Amazon people are keeping, because they have distributed it among different places. So where they are keeping exactly is S3 only. Okay, so the backend is S3. So definitely we should get some benefit of storage classes also, right? If that we can figure out where they are keeping. It's fully managed. However, they are giving us options here: standard and what more option should be there? Infrequent access, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So for frequently accessed thing, they're giving EFS standard, and for infrequently accessed share, they're giving EFS IA. Right? So two classes they are also giving. That's how we have different classes for S3. You remember so many?
Yeah.
So many are not there, but two classes are there. Now, what you can do if you have this kind of option, so obviously there should be some lifecycle management also,
Yeah.
right? So here also you can do lifecycle management. Here you can choose that aging policy, right? Some kind of after 14 days it should go there, right? It should be deleted after 90 days, right? So all those features also we are getting, because it's like kept in S3. Making sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So I think too much of theory. and so much of explanation, right? So little bit something I think we're missing here, that yeah, instance store. So in block level we discussed about EBS, and you remember in block level we had another option. One was EBS, another was instance store.
EC2.
Yeah, EC2 instance store. Just like when I was explaining the storage,
Yeah.
AWS storage. So we discussed about file, block, and object, right?
Right.
So object level storage, block level storage, file level storage. In file level, we discussed about EFS. In object level, it is S3. In block level, we had two options. One was EBS, another one was EC2 instance store, right?
Yeah.
So this EC2 instance store, right, is something I told. This is also called ephemeral, right? It's also called ephemeral storage. This is a local storage actually. Okay, this is a local storage of EC2 instance. This is local storage, right? It cannot be mounted to different server. So it's like EBS volume. You can attach to one instance, you can detach it from that instance, and then you can attach to another instance. But this EC2 instance store type, this is like local storage actually. So what happens is this is coming from the host machine. So you have host machine, right? On that your instances are running, right? So you have some host machines, underlying host machines, right? On that these guests are running, instances are running. So this host machine will have some storage, right? These are servers, of course, right?
Yeah.
So these storage, right, they are giving to the instances, whatever are running there. So with every of the free tier T2 micro or something you are getting, with that you'll not get this choice, right? But for some kind of instance types, you will get it, right? So you can try to find it out where you are getting it, or we'll try together maybe once we get a chance. So for some instance types, right, you will find this option, not for every instance type, right? So what they give is, they will give this storage which is ephemeral in nature, means once your system is shut down, this data is gone.
Okay.
So it's not like persistent like EBS, right? Here system is down and the data is gone, completely vanished. Making sense?
Yeah.
So where we can use? You can use for some kind of caching related concept.
Yeah, cache. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
Website, you know.
If it is down, then your website content will go. Risky, right? For website.
Yeah.
Caching you can use.
Yeah, caching.
Right? Say like I can also give some example where for traditional places they used SWAP. You heard about SWAP? Virtual file system or something? You have RAM. Apart from RAM, they will create SWAP. So this will be in disk. So when stuffs are there in RAM, if it is running short or some kind of things which is not useful, some kind of pages, they will be kept in the SWAP space. Right? So the SWAP is anyways like RAM is also temporary, SWAP is also temporary. When system goes down, these contents anyways they will go. Maybe we can use this ephemeral thing for the SWAP, right? For some kind of cache. So we can use this instance store also. So this will be very fast actually. This is local storage only, right? So this is very fast. Right?
Okay.
So this is also a good option, right? So you have got the basic idea about the storage types, right? And while we will be discussing creating some instance and adding these devices, we will be scaling it up. We'll be adding to our instance. We'll add some EBS volume. We will expand it. We will attach some EFS. So all those hands-on we'll be doing. So again, you will get an opportunity to go through all these things one more time. So that's not an issue, right?
Okay.
So it will give you more clarity. So looking forward for tomorrow's class where we will be doing some hands-on and all these practical